bring our next reader. Put our hand together for Lela Merrell Savage.
I'm a little short, so I'm going to get this down here a little bit so I can actually talk a little louder. Can everybody hear me in the back? Okay. As some of you know, I published or self-published my first novel last September, and I swore I'd never write another novel. About killed me the first time. Right, Debbie Nolan? But anyway, I started thinking about it, and there was a couple of characters that kept wanting out. And so my first attempt at my novel was a book called River James and Saturday. River James was my hero, and Saturday was my heroine. At the end of the novel, they have fallen in love, but they are not married. So in the second novel, they are going to get married, but I'm kind of an erratic writer. I just start off writing because I like a character, and I kind of start with something sort of in the middle, I guess. Anyway, this is a kind of a different chapter because I'm going to read part of it, and I have 5-minute increments, and so I'm going to do 5 minutes now, and you'll have to listen for the rest of it later on. But they have, Saturday and River James have twins. This is a story about their twin daughter, and her name is Annika. Every time he saw her, she bothered him. Not quietly, not subtly, just aggravating. He soon learned her name, Annika James, a freshman who showed up in his life for the first time in one of the creative writing seminars. It was held one afternoon in the English department for future authors or journalists, and there she was, sitting on the front row. You couldn't miss her. Tiny, feisty, and unafraid, she was quite open and convincing when giving her criticisms during the first session. She dressed differently, as though she could care less. An old plaid flannel shirt clung to her slight figure, way too big. Tied at the waist of faded jeans, on her small feet, footwear that looked like decrepit cast-off cowboy boots, worn and dusty. No makeup and no curves. The wild mane of her tangled mass of curly hair spiraled around her head. The color was a reminder of midnight. Voicing opinions and thoughts on one of his best pieces of romantic fiction brought precise and unusual comments. He remembered the cutting words spatting out of her mouth, which included a remark about his name, Pickford Sutter Marshall. He had always hated his first name, and most people called him Pick. Her suggestion that he'd better use a pen name if he ever wrote novels stung. But the intelligent handling of the prose and insights prompted him to rewrite the work later. She became a pain, literally. Several classes later, she was waiting outside the door, stepped in front of him, and with an obnoxious, smirking smile, stopped him for a moment in time. What the hell? Freshmen shouldn't believe in such an outlandish way toward an upperclassman. But this one did. Leaning toward him and propelling him forward with a jabbing finger, she shoved him. Placing her hands on slim hips and coolly throwing back her head, she looked up at him. I can't believe this. I don't want you in my dreams, so would you please not write that way? What are you talking about? What way? You know, as though you read my thoughts. It makes me nervous and scares the hell out of me. You bother me. With that statement, she was gone. He would never forget the next encounter and conversation. The incident would stay buried in his imagination for years. Right before high school graduation, he accidentally turned and bumped into her while being jostled by the crowd of students rushing between classes and literally knocked her down. Someone behind him collided with the guy alongside, which resulted into a violent push. Like a bunch of falling dominoes, students went down, females screaming as at least 6 other students joined the pile. Whacked hard in the back, Pick went down and tried to roll to the side of the hallway, but a slender female form was pinned haphazardly under his. The pliant, sexy, slim body was planted firmly under his broad chest. 2 deep brown eyes widened in shock as his lips settled inches from a very feminine mouth. With a ragged sigh, she whispered, "Whoa, cowboy, not yet." She managed to shove her arms around his broad shoulders. Gathering himself, he clutched her by sliding his arms around her. Somehow, he struggled to his knees, then to his feet, and took her straight up with him. "Did I hurt you?" he murmured as he held her in his arms. Stepping back from those eyes, which looked directly at her, she said softly, "Not physically, but why do you make me feel this way every time I see you? I'm not that attractive." Moving away, she swiftly bent and grabbed her book bag. Then with a swing of that hair, she turned, then stopped. Looking back over her shoulder, she gave him one of the sexiest smiles he had ever seen and walked quickly away. His body instantly betrayed him with a kind of heat throbbing through him. It was going to take a while to return to normal. Damn! The next time Pick saw her would be almost 10 years later, and the instant recall from that old memory came in a rush.